Isolation day 19, Monday the 6th of April. I hope everyone's keeping well and you are safe and sound. The UK Prime Minister has been hospitalised, is now in intensive care, so it's a pretty interesting time and also a bit worrying when the people that are telling you to take care are unable to take care of themselves. Let's go back to the basal rate and the background insulin. I adjusted my basal rates overnight and early morning yesterday. Let's revisit yesterday's morning readings. So you can see 3 o'clock was 5.8, 4 o'clock was 5.4, 5 o'clock was 2.9, 7 o'clock after a jelly baby or 2 was 5, 8 o'clock was 4.6, and then 9:46 was 2.5. So you can see that was yesterday. I made the adjustments this morning. Now we had at 2:31 was 5.3, at 4:42 was 4.1, at 6:27 was 1.9. I just need to keep on plugging away and reducing my insulin and seeing how that goes. If you have a look at the video, you will see that I have reduced the insulin further between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock and between 3 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Let's just see how that goes tomorrow. Other than that, today, if you have a look at the full chart, you can see that it remained quite low. Again, 10 o'clock was 2.5, 12 o'clock, 12:24 was 3.7, and then my blood sugars dramatically increased. So I'm going through the, I was trying to work out what was happening, looked at my pump and realised I'd run out of insulin. So interestingly, as anyone with a 640G pump, and probably most of the Medtronic pumps know, these things can keep you awake at all times, they can alarm at all times, and yet they do not tell you when the pump runs out of insulin. It ran out about 8 o'clock in the morning and I didn't notice till 12. So that was convenient, 4 hours and no insulin. So you can see that huge increase between 12 o'clock where I was 3.7. I did have some correcting carbs then, but it went to 8.3 and then up to 12.9. And as you've probably seen since the start of all of this, my blood does not get to 12.9, or if it does, then there needs to be a justification for it. And the justification was I didn't have any insulin going in. So no background insulin, and that's pretty much it. It took me quite a while to get back down to a reasonable level. I took quite a lot of insulin to get back down. So 12.9 went down to 9.2 at 7:52 and then was 5.3 at 2 o'clock in the morning. In between that, I trained at home. I didn't go running yesterday. I trained at home. I think to a certain extent, my blood sugars were quite high and therefore training at home didn't cause me to go low, which is kind of what we were saying before. So I'm going to test that again this evening. Before I go running, I want to have my blood sugar slightly higher. I've decided to put my CGM back on as it's been a week. So if I show you this, you can see my blood at the moment is 5.9. Okay, and if I show you the 6 hour graph, that's the 6 hour graph, and that's once again that's the 3 hour graph. So you can see they're well within the limits. I'm doing okay in that respect. The only other thing I wanted to mention about my carb intake, because if you look at this, I've been telling you I'm on a keto diet, and I am on a keto diet. Normally you would associate a ketogenic diet for it to be anywhere between sort of 30 to maybe 40 grams of carbs a day. You can see here I've got 8, and granted they were jelly babies, so I've got 11, 20 and 15. So let's put that together, that's 46 grams. Now what I would say, if we look at lunch as an example, so I had salad, I had cabbage, I had lettuce, I had onions, I had keto bread, I had mushrooms, I had spinach, and I had broccoli. But the advice in Dr. Bernstein's diabetes solution book is with the low carb diet is to count the protein in the food. So a palm sized bit of meat would be 5 grams of carbs. A palm sized roll of spinach would be 5 grams of carbs. So that's what I've been doing. And you can tell to a certain extent, I clearly don't get this right very often. And I do manage to go low more often than not. So I probably overcompensate for how much I'm actually eating. Another example is the bolognese for evening meal. I mean, that was predominantly meat. There was a little bit of tomato in there, which added up to about 5 grams, but the meat itself I've classed as being 10 grams of carbs. What I'm trying to present to you is I am ketogenic. I am keeping the sort of principles of the keto diet in everything I try and eat at the moment. But this, again, is justification for the move to the low-fat, plant-based whole food option. I think at the moment, with the adjustments that I've made to my basal rates, I think we'll leave it there and we'll see how it goes tomorrow. I'm now on the CGM, so when the CGM switches my pump off overnight, I will also check my blood, but I'm going to, because I need to ensure that it's calibrated correctly. It seems to be pretty accurate at the moment, which is relatively rare on day one, but it is doing that. I will update you tomorrow. Please stay safe, be careful and look after yourselves. Thanks very much.